guys, Pat here from Run Country. God is good all the time. Well, I was sawing up some wood today on my mill, and I had a seeking issue with the elevation, the up-down elevation. So when I dropped down to make a 1-inch cut, the mill kept wanting to sink lower and lower. Well, that could be one of two things as far as I know, and that is a lubrication issue, but I don't think that's it, because I sprayed some lubrication on the mill and before I got started, and it started acting up when I went from a full log to cut some 1x6s off of this cant. So basically not a whole lot of time on it, but it was working fine up until it didn't. This is a brake, but you can get this right from Wood Mizer. I'll go ahead and show you what the symptoms are. So the issue is worse when the engine's actually engaged and running. There's a lot more vibration. When you get to a certain set point, this brake here, this is actually this rotates around and runs the saw head up and down. Well, there's that notch right there. Well, this is a brake on the inside, and when these wires are energized or de-energized or something-gized, I think it must be when there's no electricity to it, it's locked, and when you apply electricity to this, 12 volts DC, then the brake releases. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this and see if that helps. Oh, this panel has to come off. There's one here, one here, and one on the corner. So I just lubricated the chain off camera before I started cutting on this tree, or cutting on this log. Now the thing you have to wrestle around are these two connections to the up-down motor. I found it easier just to bend this conduit away and just roll that whole panel back towards the control head, or the front of the mill. Okay, here we are behind the panel, and here's that brake I was telling you about. Now I'm hoping that's what it is, because I actually have an extra one, as I showed you earlier. So I'll change that out and see if that is going to be our fix. So it looks to me like I need to remove the sheathing, or I can just slip that back. The other thing I can be looking for is a cut wire, and it doesn't look like it's been cut. Well, now we need a Allen hex head. I call this thing an elevation brake. I think Wood Mizer calls it an up-down brake. Yeah, it is. It's this is a 9/64. So I need to brace up the head here. So there's a 9/16 bolt on the front of the motor, and then there's a splice in here. I'm going to try to make it back to the splice with the new wires. I just spread that open to where I can get this protective net off. Slide that back, so I'm going to have to clip this zip tie. So I'm not a big fan of multiple connections. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to this connection here. So now the new one didn't come with terminal connectors, so I have to get some new ones to put on here, onto the ends of these. At least they're tinned already for me, so that's nice. I like to double over my wire if I can, if I got enough room in here. I think it just makes a better bite on the connection if you can bend the wire over. So I just want to make sure that the tension is off the brake. It feels like it is. I have the strap underneath there holding the head on the mast, so the tension is off of the brake. So on the back side of the brake there's a couple of small nylocks. They look like 3/8. It's a 9/64 Allen wrench on this side and a 11/32 wrench on the back side. And that's a nylock, so you have to use a wrench and a Allen wrench to get this off, or else it'll just spin. Now this has been on here since 2012. The mill only has 176 hours on it. So I just don't know if it's just time, or these things wear out fairly quickly. Doesn't seem like very much time for something like this to last. Seems like it should last longer, if it's the problem, which I'm hoping it is. A little rust and corrosion in there. Now, can anybody tell me what the difference between these two are? That looks suspicious, the one on the right. A little bit broken. That can't hurt, can it? Of course, you got to line up this little spade here. It's just a flat piece of metal, and you can just rotate this gearbox anywhere you need to go. These wires are not marked in any particular fashion, like positive, negative. These wires coming from the mill are red and black. So we're just going to have to hook them up and see if we're right. I don't know if it matters or not. I would imagine this thing, it's just on and off, so I don't think it really matters. Pull the sheathing back just a little bit, cut these off, and put the other connectors that match these connectors. So the male side of this one here is wider than this one, so I need to change these out too. Oh, that's better. And all this stuff is just lubricant. Kills rust and corrosion. So, apropos to spray it back in here to this little aluminum brace here, or rod. Keep your fittings from oxidizing. Your electrical connections from oxidizing. So I didn't really like how that was wrapped around there, and I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work the way I have it set up. So we're going to go with this. Well, you don't want it binding, but you don't want it flopping around if you can get away with it. And I think I like that pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little. Before we put the cover back on, I'm going to go ahead and test this. And it seems to be holding. I would say that that's a success. So I'll recheck all my fittings. We got everything tight. Oh yes, this goes around here. And I tighten that back up again. Okay, that's loose enough. It's not going to get into any trouble with this. And it's holding really well. Okay, that looks good all the way back. Hope that helps you guys out. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.